Welcome back to another season of the Elevated Life podcast. We are so excited, y'all. We have a guest. Michelle Ann Johnson has joined us today to share her expertise. I am so excited. Yvette, can you kick us off with this episode? I just can't wait to get into it.
Absolutely. Listen, I realized every one of my teeth were showing just now because that's how hard I was smiling.
Listen, but that red lip is ready, so that's
okay.
fine.
Listen. So I'm so excited to have Michelle joining us. We're going to be talking about some really important topics that I would say for the elevated life is something that is near and dear to us. Confidence,
Absolutely.
purpose, power, all these things that we are, striving towards and working towards every day. So this is just like such a good synergy and intersection between our passion as the elevated life as well as what Michelle does. And so let me start with this bio. And I will say, Michelle, this is the short version of your bio, I'm learning. So I'm already like, okay, let's do it. So here we go. Michelle Ann Johnson, as a Hollywood actress, Michelle embodied the art of influence on shows such as, y'all listen to this, Friends, Bones, CSI Miami, Modern
Who doesn't
Family,
like Friends?
and NCIS. Also known as the speech queen, she has facilitated dozens of workshops for companies such as Lowe's, Deloitte, AbbVie, Amex, Cisco, Genentech, and KPMG, and is an executive coach for senior leaders at major corporations. With a BA in psychology and an MBA, Michelle blends leadership, communication, personal transformation, and intuitive development to help leaders elevate into their next level. She equips them to win promotions, navigate high-stakes conversations with confidence, and lead with authenticity, clarity, and purpose rooted in personal power. Most importantly, she teaches transformative spiritual principles that help clients release old limitations, strengthen their intuition, and access a deeper sense of fulfillment, freedom, and inner leadership so they can create outcomes that align with who they truly are. Welcome, Michelle.
Welcome.
We're so thrilled to have you.
I am so thrilled to be here. Thank you.
Great. So we're going to jump in. The first question we have is, tell us about Michelle. Who is she? What should listeners know about her? What prompted you to start your consulting and coaching business? And anything else fun and interesting you want to share with us?
Yeah, well, Michelle is a teacher. First and foremost, I am a teacher. I discovered this about myself about 20 years ago. I was on, as you read my bio, I was on the acting path, and I thought that is what I was going to be doing for the rest of my life. I'm going to be an actor. I'm going to be a series regular on some TV show, and that's just going to be my path. But the universe stepped in and said, not so fast. We got some things that we want to impart to you. And so I took a left turn in my life, and I walked away from acting, and I walked away from my VP job at an insurance brokerage, and started on this spiritual journey where I discovered, I'm actually a teacher, and I'm here to impart different types of spiritual principles and practices. And I do that in a variety of different ways. I do that as an executive coach. I do that through my keynotes. I do that through videos that I do. I do that just in conversations with family and friends. I do it in a lot of different ways, but first and foremost, I'm a teacher.
Thank you.
That is absolutely amazing. Thank you for sharing that with us. So, going right into, one of the topics that, we believe that you are an expert in, and this is something that's very close to, things that we're all working towards, authenticity. So if we were to examine authenticity in this conversation, how do authenticity, confidence, and purpose work together? I mean, if I can have all three of those at the same time, I mean, I feel unstoppable.
That's the
Like,
goal. That is the
yeah,
goal.
absolutely.
Yeah, I think about
Absolutely.
authenticity, confidence, and purpose as a car. If you think about all
Mm-hmm.
three of them as a car, authenticity is the body of the car, right? It's the
Mm-hmm.
foundation. And
Absolutely.
everything starts with authenticity because it's about your relationship to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Confidence is the fuel that moves that car forward. If you have confidence, you are unstoppable. And it just, it's that fuel that really propels you forward. But you also need purpose because purpose is the steering wheel. It's what
Wow.
directs your attention, your energy, your value into whatever it is that you are wanting to do. How are you contributing a value? How are you being of service? What is the experience that you want to create? And so
Mm-hmm.
purpose is the thing that really directs and focuses your energy so that you can achieve those things that you want to do. And so for me, authenticity is about knowing yourself and showing yourself. So there's really
Ooh.
two
Mm,
different pieces to that, right?
absolutely.
You got to
Yep.
know who you are, and then you have to show who you are. And so what I see
Absolutely.
often as an executive coach is people, for the most part, they know who they are, whether or not that's
Mm-hmm.
the case.
Right. Right.
Because,
Right.
you start doing a little digging and you're like, oh, I
Exactly.
really don't know who I am. I thought I
Right.
did.
Exactly.
But,
Yes.
Exactly.
you end up living the life that that other people want you to live, or you end up being the person that other people want you to
A
be instead
people
of your
pleaser. Yeah.
exactly,
Ooh.
instead of your authentic self. So
Yeah.
that's the first step, is you getting to know you.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Wow.
What do you
Mm-hmm.
believe? What is important to you? What are your needs? What are your
Mm-hmm.
values? What is your belief system? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are your triggers? Like all of that
Right.
stuff. What do you
All the
really
components.
think? All of it. What do you really
Yeah.
think? What do you really feel? Are you in touch with your personality and your lived experience? All of
Mm-hmm.
that stuff is a part of knowing who you are. But then
Mm.
you got to show that to people. You have to share your authentic self with the people in your life, with your coworkers, with your
Yeah.
bosses.
Mm-hmm.
and,
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that
and
can be a challenge, right?
It
mhm.
takes
Because
courage.
different environments, will make you feel as if I can't be who I am. I can't show them that side of me. So it definitely is or can be a challenge at times, but I think that's the key difference in the two, I think is, already fantastic that you've called it out. Like knowing
Right.
who you are, but showing up as who you are. And if you're doing that, that is the most, I would say, authentic version of yourself. I mean,
Yeah.
you are operating in your strengths, you're operating in your gifts, you're operating in a space that's effortless.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And, trust me, I do understand that we are often in situations where it feels like we're getting pushback, or it feels like we are not being accepted for who we really are. Trust me, I'm not naive. I'm not some Pollyanna. But here's the thing about authenticity: authenticity has to be exercised in your
Mm,
relationships, because it's
mm.
easy to be authentic when you're sitting at home on the couch.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Very
it's
Yep.
easy and very convenient, isn't
it,
it?
it's so
Yes.
easy, right? Like, oh,
Great
I'm all
point.
kinds of authentic sitting here,
Exactly.
watching my videos.
Friday
But
night at 8 o'clock.
yes, but it's
Yes.
when you are challenged,
Yeah.
when you are getting those messages of invalidation, who you are isn't okay. That's really when you can start to practice being authentic despite what is happening in your environment, because ultimately authenticity is for you.
Yeah.
It's for you. Yes,
It's true.
it can give other people permission to be authentic, but it's
Yeah.
ultimately for you. And I've seen
Yeah.
over and over again in myself and in other people that, for the most part, there's always going to be haters, okay?
Yep. Of
But for
course.
the most part, when
Hmm.
you show up as authentic, it is reciprocated. It
Yeah.
Yeah.
is reciprocated. And so
Yeah.
it takes courage, because we all have those experiences in our past, and we put
Absolutely.
up the wall that says,
Yeah.
it ain't safe.
Hmm.
Right.
Absolutely.
I think that's
Absolutely.
such a good segue to this next question.
Hmm.
Um, I love that you're saying or sharing, first of all, just breaking down authenticity in a very
Yes.
practical way. So it doesn't just feel
Yeah.
like this lofty concept. Here's how
Hmm.
you think about it. And then I've never heard anyone say that authenticity is for you. And
Hmm.
that line, and I need to put that on a t-shirt. Like, that is so
Hmm. Hmm.
powerful that yes, other people receive benefit from your authenticity, but at the end of the day,
Absolutely.
when you can be true to yourself, how freeing and liberating is that, right? And the value
Absolutely.
that you gain. And so, related to this, you mentioned that relying on intuition helps uncover hidden opportunities. Can you give us concrete examples, maybe from your time as a VP or a client story that you're comfortable sharing, where data said go left, but the intuition said go right and it paid off?
Ooh,
Oh,
and that's the scary one. That's scary.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, first of all, what is intuition? I think just thinking about intuition for a lot of people, it can feel like, I don't know about this whole intuition thing. Is it real? Is it reliable? We have a lot of belief systems around intuition and giving ourselves permission to use our intuition. But I can say, as somebody that has been actively using my intuition for the last 20 years, that it's just like any other skill. The more you do it, the more you can trust it, the more reliable it
Wow.
becomes. And
Hmm.
so your intuition is really your channel to your higher self. It's your channel to God, source, creator. And anyone who has a soul, which we all do, also has intuition, because your soul needs a way for a way to communicate to you. And that channel is your intuition. And
Wow.
so your intuition is beyond your five senses. And so if you think about
Mm,
the grand scope of information that is available to us, most of us only rely on the information that we can see, hear, feel, touch. Well, that's very, very limited. Very, very limited. When you can get in touch with your intuition, well, now the scope of information completely opens up beyond what you can see, hear, feel, taste, touch. Okay. So that's really what your intuition is all about. And I have used my intuition to reinvent myself several times over. I've used my intuition to get me to where I am today. Because, if you looked at where I came from, single mother with a mental illness, undiagnosed, scarcity, every lack, every every insecurity you can think of, to where I am today, I shouldn't be here. But the reason I am
mm,
here is because my intuition has been guiding me every step of the way. And so I have tons and tons of examples of, using my intuition despite what the evidence was showing me. Going back to school to get my MBA, despite everybody saying that I didn't need to get my MBA. Moving to a different city 2 times over when I didn't know anybody. And it's like, well, this is what my intuition is telling me. So this is what I'm going to do. Starting my own practice when I didn't have any clients. It's like, well, this is what my intuition is telling me to do. But I do have a specific client experience that I can share. I had a client, and she is a high level executive, very, very talented. She had 2 roles that she was being considered for. One
Hmm.
role was a larger role. It was sexier. It
Hmm.
had more visibility. And then
mm,
there was a smaller role that wasn't as sexy, wasn't as
Hmm.
visible. And it was a little stagnant, that account that she was being considered for. And so she was going back and forth between these 2 accounts. Which one should I take? And then she crowdsourced it to her network and got other people's opinions, and that just made her more confused, because one half of the group said go with the larger account, one half of the group
been
said go
there.
with the smaller
Yeah.
account.
Yeah. And now you're like, now what?
Now what?
Right.
So
Hmm.
here's the now what. So we were in a coaching session, and she's telling me what's going on. And this went on for months, literally months. And finally I
Wow.
said, you know what? I want you to just tune into your heart. I want you to screen out everything. I want you to feel into each position. Just feel into it. which one feels better? And instantly she was like, the smaller account. It's more aligned with my passion. It's more aligned with where I want to go in life. And just in that moment, tuning into herself, listening to herself instead of what everybody else was saying, clarified everything for her. And she ended up going with that account and it worked out great. So that's just one example of the power of your intuition.
Of a journey, you know, like having the appreciation and, you know, continuing to know yourself along the way, tapping into being honest with yourself. Like, can I do this job? Yes. But do I want to? No. You know, and the courage that it takes to admit that to yourself, know that it may look different than it would, you know, if you had chosen the other opportunity, but peace is, there's not a cost or a price you can put on peace. There's not a cost or price you can put on, you know, being able to show up in a space authentically, working in your purpose, in your passion, and being able to not just offer the best version of yourself, but have the experience of others that regardless of where they are in their journey with that, you know, you did your best. So to me, that gives the ultimate peace. So that's awesome. That's amazing. And it takes it, for me, let me talk by myself. It takes a while to get there, to get to a space where you are okay with, I don't care what it looked like to nobody else. This is what works for me, and I'm all right with that. You know, you have to really, you know, be comfortable. You mentioned this early on, you know, be comfortable with yourself. And for me, you have to spend time with yourself to get to know yourself better, whether that's journaling, whether that's praying, whether that's just having some time for thought or meditation, listening to what people tell you. You know, or for me, my kids, when I look at them, I'm like, who act like that? Because who is doing that?
Whoops. Now you stepping on my toes, Ashley. I'm like, where you get that from?
I recognize that. I recognize that. Exactly. So absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. So I want to talk a little bit about the concept that you have previously shared around learn, practice, and heal. So, okay, we can learn. We understand. Okay, it went this way. The outcome wasn't what we wanted it to be. Let's change some things up. You know, give it another shot. You know, we can practice it. Okay, I tried it differently this time. It went a little bit better. Okay, all right. And heal though, like that. Come on, I mean, like that can just go a lot of different places because, you know, when you think about the process of healing, you have to have reflection, you have to have some honesty, you have to have, you know, also opportunity to go forward, you know, with those learnings, if you will. So if you could, you know, share a bit with us about that and kind of break that down, those dynamics and how they may be applicable in different situations.
Absolutely. Yeah. So let me just give a little bit more context to this framework. And this came from just my observation. This is really my approach to life, is that every situation is an opportunity to learn something about yourself. Because, you know, especially, you know, as professionals, we can be so focused on our competencies and getting better at our job and getting more credentials. And okay, I'm learning about my job, but no, the learning is about yourself. So every experience is an opportunity to either learn something about yourself, to practice some skill, not for your job, but for your own personal development and transformation, and then to heal something about yourself. And so the learning, when you can approach life in this way, that I understand that things are going to happen, challenges are going to arise, issues are going to pop up, I'm going to be in conflict with people and relationships. But if I can get out of the subjective experience of it, if I can get out of my triggering, if I can get out of my story about what's happening and see this as a mirror to reflect back to me what I need to learn, what I need to practice, and what I need to heal, that is the ultimate form of empowerment.
Wow.
You
When I tell
take,
you that is like
yeah.
my past 48 hours, like what you just described, literally. I have
All
just
week.
lived through exactly
Jamal.
all week. All week. You know, I've
Hmm.
had to have those moments where I've had to lean into the authenticity and say, okay, I need to make a decision. It's uncomfortable, but it's the best one for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
And what am I
absolutely.
learning about myself in that process? Am I
Yeah,
learning, oh, you know what? I keep attracting the same kind of person in my life.
Ooh,
yeah,
There's a pattern there. Am I
yeah,
learning, in these kinds of situations, I'm not showing up as my best self. I need to
yeah,
take a look at
mm,
that. Am I learning, this is a bad habit that I
yeah,
keep,
yeah,
perpetuating. It's time for me to really right? I'm looking at
yeah,
myself. I'm not looking at other
yeah.
people.
Of course, yes, yes.
I'm
And for
looking
that's
at
so
me,
me.
yeah.
good.
And for
That's
me,
Yes.
the
so
learning
good.
was, you know, when you have the courage, it takes, we talk a lot about courage in this conversation. It takes a lot to have that courage. But I have
Humility.
found exactly
Hmm.
when
And
you have it
humility,
and you
yes.
get on the other side of it, it's an amazing feeling. It's an amazing feeling to know, like, I was scared to death. What was going to happen? Probably nothing, but I was still scared. And, you know, you went through it, you had the experience. And on the other side, you're all the more better for it to your exact excuse me, to your
Yeah.
exact point.
And
Absolutely.
I'll add to it, I don't think people understand the intentionality that self reflection requires to be able to do these things well. I think sometimes people think about these times and spaces for self reflection as only blocking off time on your calendar to sit and ponder in your thoughts. Sometimes it's uh, realizing that there are sort of these crossroad moments of your behavior, your engagement, whatever you're trying to change, how you're trying to show up, where you have to pause and say, okay, why am I feeling like this? Where is that coming from? What is that about? Or how did I get here again? That's my season right now.
Hmm.
I said I was not going to be running myself raggedy or finding
Mm.
myself in this trap, and I am here again. How in
Hmm.
the world am I going to break this cycle if I
Mm.
haven't spent enough time sitting in understanding why
Yeah,
I got here or how I
yeah,
keep
Hmm.
getting here? And so that heal piece is so
Hmm.
important. I think we talk about
Yeah.
you learn, you practice, but then we get to the heal part and we still a mess. So then we go right into the same cycle.
So,
mm-hmm.
yes, yes. And so here's the thing, your intuition can help you to learn, practice, and heal. When
Mm,
you are in touch with your intuition and partner with it, it will point you in the direction. Intuition, what is going on here? What is happening? Here's what's happening. Here's what's really going on. This is connected to that experience that you had with your mother when you were 5 years old.
Yeah,
This is connected to that experience that you had in high school. This is connected to that time when you felt abandoned or all alone or rejected or whatever that is. This is
right.
right. So that's the healing piece, is going back to the origin of this pattern where you
Yes.
say, why do I keep finding myself here? Because there is a pattern that has been set up because of some unhealed, wounded aspect of yourself that is crying out for attention and love. That's
Mm,
really what it is. And so we've got to, in those moments, witness our younger selves and go back and heal those experiences, understand from our current vantage point, our current level of consciousness, what we maybe didn't understand when we were younger, and allow that aspect to speak to us about what it needs, what, the love that it needs, and you extract the learning from that experience. That is how you heal. And so I think so often we feel like, oh, the past is the past. I'm not going to be focusing on that anymore. I'm just going to focus on me. Well, guess what? The past is still living. The
mm,
past is still alive. And so you can either make peace with your past, or you can allow it to still be running you. And so I would say anytime you feel like, this keeps happening. I keep coming up against this situation. I keep finding there's an aspect of you that needs to be healed.
That's really good. And it ties to this concept that Ashley and I have spent a lot of time researching and speaking on, which is imposter syndrome. We've done some work and realized that a lot of our past and our childhood is tied to these feelings of, feeling like an imposter. And so, Michelle, my question for you is, how do you get into this place, like not only healing from those past experiences, but also how do you ungaslight yourself in all of this?
Yeah, so this ties the framework, the authenticity, confidence, and purpose framework with the learn, practice, and heal. Because as I said before, when you have the belief infrastructure around your personal power, I know who I am, I'm not afraid to show who I am, I believe in what I can do, I'm here to contribute something of value, then you don't feel like an imposter. Your self-worth makes you feel like I deserve to be here. I deserve to have a seat at the table. I can have criticism or get feedback and have it not crush my soul.
Woo!
Absolutely. Roll
right? Okay. It just like I'm a big proponent of chew the meat, spit out the bones, right? Right. But you can only do that if you've got your personal power infrastructure set up. You've got your shield on, right? And so again, when you find yourself in these situations where, man, I'm in this environment and these people are saying this and saying that, and making me feel this and making me feel that, this is an opportunity for you to go, okay, this is what's happening. Is there a pattern here? Do I keep finding myself in careers or roles or jobs where I am not appreciated, I am invalidated, I am not seen and valued for who I am or what I bring to the table? And if that's the case, is this a pattern where it's mirroring your childhood? I can't tell you how often in coaching situations we've been working on a work situation, a boss, a colleague, or whatever, challenging relationship my client is dealing with. And as we start to dig and start to uncover, it's like, this reminds me of the relationship I have with my mother, who was critical or hypercritical or never validated me or was really judgmental. Or this reminds me of the relationship I have with my father.
Yeah.
So again, not to say that toxic work environments aren't real, not to say that, being a person of color or a woman or marginalized communities that we don't experience the isms and the microaggressions. Those things are real. But what I'm saying is, if you've got a belief infrastructure around authenticity, confidence, and purpose, then you don't start internalizing those messages and then begin to perpetuate them against yourself. That is what I'm talking about.
Wow. I mean, and just from that component right there, how many times have we interacted with people in different circles where you say one thing and they like go off. And that's a prime example of whatever experience they're having at that moment could be reminding them of something else that's completely unrelated to you, but you just happen to be there at the time. So
they got triggered. Triggered.
Exactly. Listen, sometimes I'm the they in the situation. Whoops. But yeah, it's real talk. This is so rich because we undervalue and underappreciate how those past traumas can continue to live on. And we've got to be empowered to decide, I'm going to do the work so it stops, and that's no longer going to be part of my story.
So how do we put that into practice? So we've done some work, we know who we are, we want to show up as that, have others have that experience. How do we put that practice element, into play in our real lives? Because, sometimes it can work. in the work environment, and sometimes maybe not. You want to weigh your options and safely fail or safely have some opportunities to learn how to implement practice in your daily, conversations and relationships to your key point, because this applies to me in every circle, your personal relationships, your family, at work. This is applicable across all components of your life. So how would you advise if we are on the edge, or we have some listeners that are like, yeah, I hear that little voice, but she don't know what she's talking about. So how do we trust her more?
Yeah. So the first thing I think is really understanding the value of intention and elevating how you want to show up before you walk into your work, before you log into your meeting. How do I want to show up today? Right?
That's it. That's it.
Right. Take the power back, because I know sometimes you roll out of bed and you log into that meeting and you haven't even, like, you're just not even present. Right. And then things start happening and you're not equipped because you're not present. So I think the first thing is, it comes back to that purpose piece. How do I want to contribute a value? How do I want to be of service today? What is the experience that I want to create for me and the people on my team, or me and my client, or me and my colleagues? What is that? What's the vision I'm setting for that?
I love
and
that.
Then I'm going to align.
Do you want to show up today?
Yeah, and then align yourself to that, right? Because if you don't have a plan,
honey,
exactly, then it's just gonna, it's gonna happen to you instead of you showing up in the way that you want to. So that's the first thing, is to just be intentional with how you want to show up. The next thing is, think about, what is it you want to practice today? Is it you want to practice giving people more grace? That could be something you could practice, because people, not everybody's going to show up and have their best day, or people are going to get triggered. People are going through things that you don't know about. And can I practice having more grace for people and giving them space to fall down and fail and not be at their best, and maybe even be a little snarky? And it's like, oh, okay, but I'm going to give you grace today. Not in a petty way, but really in a loving and kind way and respectful way. Good. Do you know what I'm saying?
And understanding.
Understanding.
Empathetic.
That could be something you're practicing. Can you be practicing, I'm going to be a better listener today? I'm really just going to be a better listener. Can you practice? So there's so many different things, but I think just, again, being intentional and identifying something that you want to practice that is going to elevate the way that you show up and are of service to the people around you. So those are two very practical skills. First,
love that.
Wake up with an intention before you log into that meeting, and then identify something that you actively want to practice. And guess what? When you have that kind of approach to your day, you're always going to be a success, because you're in a learning mindset. You can't lose if you're in a learning mindset.
That's good. I need to.
I mean, that's amazing. Yes.
Wake up with intention means go to bed with it too, because I got to get some things together there.
I absolutely love that.
Is a little
how do you want to show up today? Is it for me? Like, how do you want to show up today? What experience do you want to have? How do you want this to go?
Right.
And that's almost like real-time manifestation.
It is. And it's daily. That's what I love about it, because I have always thought about, what is my personal vision? What's my word for the year? What do I want to, but what about today? What does that look like right now? And being very intentional about that is powerful. So
Yvette, and I just want to piggyback on what you just said, because, we can think so long term, right? Next year, I'm going to do X, Y, Z, or in 3 to 5 years. Well, guess what? Those 3 to 5 years start today.
Yeah.
It starts
if they may, and we never know, are they going to come also?
Right.
So
the decisions that you make today lead to you manifesting those long-term goals, but they start with every single decision, action that you take today. And the more intentional you are about that, that's going to point you in the direction of manifesting those goals.
Thank you. That's so good. Well, our time is almost at the end. I can't believe it. So we've got one last question for you, Michelle. So let's get into more of a what if situation. So you're in a boardroom, the stakes are high, the information is incomplete, everyone's looking at you to show up. What is the first physical or mental thing you do to tap into your personal power or intuition?
First thing is breathe. It seems really, really simple, but when we're in high stakes situations, we stop breathing because we're in fight or flight. And so you've got to take control of your nervous system. You've just got to. You've got to breathe. You've got to connect to your heart. You've got to make sure that let me just wiggle my toes. Yeah. Let me stay in my body, because sometimes we can like pop out of our bodies and we're floating around out here to escape, right? The threat that we feel. Exactly. So the first thing is to ground and anchor yourself in your body, connect to your heart, breathe. It's okay. I'm safe. And then connect with your heart and your intuition and ask, what is the best decision for me and everyone else in this situation? And just keep asking that to yourself throughout that situation. What is the best decision here? What's the best decision here? Because I don't know. I mean, I have my experience, I have my hunches, but there may be something that my intuition can impart to me, again, that is beyond the five senses, that if I can open myself up to that, it'll drop in and, oh, I haven't even considered that. Thank you. Thank you. Like this question that you just asked me, I didn't know how I was going to answer that question, but I'm guiding and coaching and connecting to my intuition and asking my intuition, I don't know how to answer this question. What's the best answer?
Yes.
And so that's how throughout the day, every single day, with every decision, with every moment, just opening yourself up to your intuition, guide me, show me, teach me. I don't know. What are the possibilities? I don't know what the possibilities are. Show me. And trusting that when you need the information, the right information will be available to you.
That's good. That's good.
Absolutely.
Well, we're at
this
the
has
end.
Been a fantastic conversation.
Yes.
I have taken so many gems from this conversation that I want to apply as soon as we hang up. I mean, being intentional every single day about how you're wanting to show up. That's key. That is a critical part, I think, of the success you can have in any conversation, in any situation. The example with the car, the confidence going right along with the authenticity. I mean, this has been fantastic. I really, really appreciate your time today, Michelle. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for inviting me. This was a blast. It was a joy for me to be here. So thank you.
Thank you. I have to say that thought around intuition, I keep just kind of going back to some things that I need to keep in mind. Like tapping for me is like listening to the voice of the Holy Spirit, like really leaning into my faith and those things that I know that are different than those five senses, right? What's being spoken to my heart in those moments. And I would say for those that are listening, take this, listen to it again, take some notes, check out Michelle,
key takeaways.
Get familiar with her, and certainly make sure that you comment, like, subscribe, share this podcast. Always share your feedback with us. Thank you so much for your time, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.
Bye.
Take care.